Hello everybody, long time no see. I have not uploaded a YouTube video in over a year. I am very excited to be back, to be filming this YouTube video in particular. I've been promising this for a while on my Instagram, and I kept telling myself I would do it by my baby's 6-month birthday. That was yesterday, so I'm making it happen today. If we have yet to connect here through the internet, my name is Mandy Meehan, and I am a mom to my amazing, beautiful 6-month-old Jace. And basically, I started my YouTube channel because I've been battling chronic illness for the last 5 years, and I've been documenting my journey as I've been healing from basically chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, mold toxicity, probably Lyme, all of those different things. And as I was healing, I ended up becoming a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. So my job now is getting to support people with chronic illness, which I'm so thankful how God has brought purpose out of that pain. And I'm still healing right now. I'm still working through a lot of some of the complex issues that I have. And just with all of that background in mind, it was a really big deal for me to get pregnant because I didn't know how that would be on my body. I didn't really know how well I could physically handle it. I didn't know how I would handle labor with pretty extreme fatigue and chronic pain. Since, I'm working through that, I wasn't really sure how it would go. So there's some kind of context to who I am and kind of what I've been through and why I have this YouTube channel. But all of that, it plays into my pregnancy and birth for sure, because when we decided to try to get pregnant, it was scary. I didn't know what would happen. I didn't know if I could handle a pregnancy, if I could even get pregnant to begin with. I mean, I had had very extreme hormonal issues in the past where doctors told me my hormone levels were like an 80-year-old menopausal woman. And yeah, I didn't know how I would handle labor, even being a mom. So I'm very, very thankful, obviously, that I am here. I am a mom. I'm very, very happy, and I have the most precious boy that here's a picture, but I can show you him in a little bit. Okay, so my birth story. I've shared a little bit about it on Instagram, but we're gonna get into the details today. So if you're brand new, I guess we can just kind of start from the ground up. Let me give you like a big picture overview. I am very thankful I got to have the birth that I was wanting to have. I guess I can say that too. This is a positive birth story. It wasn't traumatic for me in any ways. It was really a really beautiful day. Challenging for sure, but really beautiful day. But I got to have a home birth. I worked with a midwife. It was completely medication free, and I'm so thankful that I got to do that. Again, with my health issues, I really didn't know if that was going to be possible for me. I really had to act in faith, knowing that that's a big thing to do. Giving birth is a lot for anyone, but when you don't have the capacity to be able to exercise or go on very long walks or clean your house, that's what my chronic fatigue syndrome life is like. Especially during pregnancy, it was a little bit worse. I'm really thankful I got to do that. So I do just want to say, most people watching this will know this, that I really support any way people want to give birth, as long as the mom and the baby are healthy, of course. And there's so many different ways to give birth. It's amazing that regardless, you're bringing a life into the world. And the things that I chose to do in my birth, most of that, they were personal preference things that I decided to do thinking it would be best for me based on talking to my midwife and all of those good things. I just want you to know, whatever way you decide to give birth, I support you. The goal should be healthy mommy and healthy baby. So yeah, I loved having a home birth. I felt so relaxed, and I felt like the stress was really kept low, and I really just enjoyed being here, and the midwife and the doula and my mom, coming to me, and it was just a really, natural transition, bringing this baby literally into our world. So I don't want to talk too much about why I chose to do a home birth. That could be a whole other video, just the reasons why I decided to go that route. But I guess let's get into the details of what happened. So I've got my journal. During that first week postpartum, I pretty much wrote out everything that happened that I could remember. It's definitely a blur. Then I've got my kind of my medical history from my midwife, and I can see the like time stamped a lot of the different things that happened, so that will kind of help if you want to know details. Okay, so the story. The day before, I was just about to be 40 weeks pregnant, and I feel like there's so many details I wanted to tell you. My sister, she has had all of her babies really early. My mom has never made it to term, so all of my family, they really thought I was going to be early too. So I was getting texts and calls all the time. Are you in labor? Are you in labor? I'm like, I'm not even at my due date yet. Most first-time moms, they actually go over their due date. So that was the whole thing. So I didn't have any signs or feelings that I would be going into labor soon until the day before I went to labor. I remember my belly just felt different. It felt lower. It felt weird pressure in different places. I felt more of that lightening feeling, that kind of, it's almost like this kind of sharp feeling lower in my pelvis. And I just knew something's different. I feel like something may be happening soon. It might be another week, it might be a few days, who knows, but something's happening. I wrote in my journal, January 16th, I said, rest, baby is getting low, belly feels different, more lightening. Then I said other things about the day. By the end, I said, ready for Quattro. That's one of our nicknames for baby Jace, ready for Quattro to get here. And so that the night before giving birth, I was a little bit anxious too. I've dealt with a lot of anxiety in my life, and it's crazy. You know, I know some people may be interested in a health update, but my mental health since giving birth has been the best it's ever been, ever. Well, the best it's ever been since I got sick. And I've been completely panic attack free for the last 6 months, which is really, really huge for me. And I think that's for a lot of different reasons. But I had some anxiety the day before I gave birth. And yeah, I think I was just ready for something to happen. So, in the middle of one of my many bathroom breaks during the night, I felt a little bit of something felt off. Like I wanted to go to the bathroom to check my underwear and see if maybe I lost some of my mucus plug or something. And I get up from the bed and I just feel a gush. Like, it wasn't the balloon pop thing that I've heard about. It was just like someone just released a water bottle and was squeezing, and it's gush of water. And I was so excited. I literally threw my hands in the air and I say something along the lines of, yes, my water just broke. I wake my husband up with that loud exclamation, and he's like, okay, what do I do? And I'm like, I tell him, I think I'll call the midwife, I'll call Charlie, just go to sleep, back to sleep. I'll just figure this out and I'll let you know when I need to. And I'm just celebrating. I'm so excited. And I'm excited because it is morning, you know, it's early in the morning. It was 5:30 a.m. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is great. I'm not going to be up all night. Hopefully I can get this baby out today. So I call my midwife and I'm like, Charlie, my water broke. I'm so excited. And she's like, okay, calm down. Like, that's great. Just rest. You probably have a long, you know, a lot of work ahead of you. So, you know, she gave me some next steps. Like, let me know once this happens or what happens next. And we'll be, you know, in communication. So I'm like, okay, I'm preparing for a long day, lots of labor, lots of hard work. This might take a long time. It's, you know, my first baby, so yeah, it may be a while. Man, I was just excited, and it's really amazing. I didn't feel nervous or afraid. I think a lot of the prep I did going into it helped me have a good mindset, but I felt just excited. And I was just, from that moment, I was just like shaking nonstop. I know that's like a normal labor thing. I just literally, it felt like for days, my limbs were just shaking. Then I I tried to get in bed for a little bit, but it really seemed to be very soon after my water breaking, all of these different you're really going into labor signs started happening. Let's see if I can remember from my journal exactly what was going on. Okay, so yes, I started having contractions with really terrible back pain. It felt like instantly. I was hoping to get a little bit more sleep, but that definitely didn't happen, because I remember getting in bed and just feeling it was in like really quickly, every couple minutes, just it's like, oh wow, that really hurts, that's really uncomfortable. I really feel that on my back, and my belly felt tight, but it didn't really feel like what I expected to in my belly. So yeah, I tried to relax, but it wasn't really working. Then I remember trying to go to the bathroom again. Next thing I know, there's bloody show, another sign that you're going into labor. So yeah, I was trying to rest, and then my husband made me some breakfast, and I ate some. It was like some eggs and some fruit, and that didn't stay down for very long. Very quickly I was throwing up, and it was cool. It's funny, all these different things. I'm really thankful for the education I had going into labor. I had a lot of great prep from my midwife. I did a really great labor class here local to me. I did an online one from Mama Natural, her childbirth class. And so I knew all of these signs, like the bloody show, even throwing up, obviously your water breaking. I knew those were really common signs that like labor is happening. And I feel like if I didn't know that, that would be really maybe scary to see some blood that early. So I was just celebrating. I'm like, this is great, things are happening. And then the contractions, they started going really, really quickly. And we started timing them. And I feel like from the very beginning, they were about like 4 minutes apart. And they were kind of hard for us to track. We really didn't expect them to be consistent that quickly, so things were happening so fast and were so intense, we weren't really tracking very well. And so I text my midwife. Yeah, so I think I was having contractions off and on from maybe like 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's crazy how quickly time passed. So I was kind of having contractions I could definitely handle for a while. Then I was, you know, obviously keeping my midwife in the loop, and she asked me how I'm doing, and I told her I'm not really sure. Okay, you know, I need to backtrack a little bit, not too much, but basically, yeah, the contractions were happening fast, pretty back to back, and they started getting really, really intense. We tried to turn on like a Netflix show. I planned on like resting, laying down as much as I can, trying to distract myself, and there was no distracting it. There was no resting. It was very, very uncomfortable for me and very intense if I would try to lay on my side or on my hands and knees. All of it was pretty unbearable. And it felt like I was just completely out of control, and those contractions that were coming out of nowhere, I was vocalizing. It was really hard for me to not like scream, and it'd be really intense there for like maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And my husband would be there trying to help do some of the techniques that we learned. Yeah, we weren't that great at managing those contractions at that point, and it was just tough because I was thinking to myself, I've got a really long way to go. These are the early contractions. This is when it's usually kind of like off and on and not that strong. I knew these were very, very intense, but I thought I had a lot more difficult contractions coming. So the thing that helped me the most before my midwife got there, I had to kind of hang over, like I have a tall dresser, I would just hang over there. I would try to keep my hips low and have my husband do the squeeze. When my midwife got there, she really helped us remember how to do the things and help me remember how to breathe, because that was one thing. Breathing was very, very difficult. Very difficult. It's just like I was trying. I knew I was supposed to breathe, but I don't know what it was. When my midwife got there, I'm like, okay, she reminded me how to breathe. So Charlie, my midwife, texted and she said, how are you doing? And I said, I'm not really sure. And she told me this later. She said, when you said that, she said, I know you've been through a lot in your health, and so I kind of imagined you probably would tough it out a little bit. And she said she knew things are probably moving pretty quickly. I prayed that things would move pretty quickly, and she said she prayed that for me as well. And yeah, things are moving quickly. Don't want to spoil anything. I mean, sure, you're all on the edge of your seats. And so she said, okay, I'm on my way over. The period of time between when she left and when she got there, I think it was an hour between when she said, okay, I'll be here by this time. That was the longest hour of my life. It was very, very long. And I think it was for my husband too, because things were crazy, crazy intense. And that was, during that time, those were the moments where I was thinking, was having these thoughts to myself of, did I make the wrong decision? Should I have done the epidural? Should I have gone to the hospital? And then I had these moments of thinking, I get it now, epidural is from the Lord, like medication is so helpful, it's probably so helpful. I mean, I didn't know. And I wasn't thinking, I can't do this, take me to the hospital. I still really believe that I could do it. I just started to think like, I understand why people get pain medication. But in that moment, I'm like, yeah, this is very, very intense. It was very back to back. I felt like I couldn't ever really have a break. I was very loud vocalizing. Then my midwife got there and she asked if it'd be okay to check me. And up until this point, I haven't had my cervix checked to see if I was dilated ever. That was the first time that she did it. And she, checked me and sits me up, and she said, okay, Mandy, I need you to listen closely. You are at a 9. This baby is coming soon. She said, we probably don't have time to get the birth pool out. And she told me that. And I just felt so excited. I said, wait, are you saying I've been through transition? If you don't know, transition is the point when you are kind of getting into like an 8 or a 9 centimeters dilated. It is the most difficult and intense part of labor. And usually during that part, people told me so many times, that is the point where you probably feel like giving up, feel like telling people to send you to the hospital. But they said that is the worst part, and everything gets so much better from there. And it's the worst part, but it's also the shortest part. And so when she told me that, I thought, I went through a transition. That's the hardest it could do. I handled that. Like, it was tough, but yeah, I did it, and I'm over that part now. I can totally have this baby. At that point, I'm like, absolutely, this is going to be great. So once I knew I had made it through transition, I felt so motivated. I just was excited, and I just couldn't wait to meet my baby boy. Pretty quickly, I started to feel pushy. It kind of felt like I needed to use the bathroom, like I needed to have a bowel movement. It's a really, really odd feeling. We didn't think we'd have time to fill up the birth pool, but I do have a pretty good tub in our house, so I got on the tub for a little bit. It really wasn't helping relieve the pain of the contractions for me, especially because the contractions were I just felt every contraction so much in my back. It's hard to describe what the intensity was like, especially during those contractions during transition, but I really didn't feel them in my back or in my belly. I really mostly just felt it in my back, but then somehow everywhere else at the same time. So first, my midwife said, let's try some gentle pushing. We went to the bed, lying on my back at first. That just is what she thought would be best because of positioning. I don't remember all of the reasons, but we tried that for a little bit. But then I ended up pushing. It felt like everywhere. I pushed on the bed, I pushed on the floor, I pushed on a birth stool. I definitely had some bowel movements while I was pushing. It happens, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. I love how nonchalant my midwife is. I'm sorry if you think this is TMI. I don't anymore. I talk about bowel movements all the time with what I do in my work as a nutritional therapy practitioner. I'm pushing, and there's stuff that catches all of the fluids because there's lots of fluid. It's not just that. And she just says, you're pretty constipated today, aren't you? And I just was laughing. I'm like, I mean, I wasn't constipated yesterday, but I guess I am today, and you know about it. That's lovely. And I pushed on the floor lying on my back. I pushed on the toilet for a little bit. And then the very last place I pushed to have my baby was on the bathroom floor. So let me talk about pushing a little bit. For some women, they feel what's called the fetal ejection reflex. Oh, I don't know if you can hear my baby. He's crying. My husband has him. He is full on teething right now. It's so tough. He's very uncomfortable, but we've got some good remedies that are helping, but it's still not fun. I did not feel that fetal ejection reflex, that my body is pushing for me. I can just, some women, they say, I just breathe and the baby comes out. I didn't feel that at all. And my midwife said that was because of the positioning. I forget what it's called, but he had a bit of a head tilt. Also, his hand was up by his fist was up by his face. So apparently I had to push a lot harder than I would have if the positioning was just right. So I was really pushing, and it's tough because I don't have a ton of energy. I don't have much muscle these days. I was holding onto my legs, and they gave me all the directions of pull the legs this way and breathe this way and all the things. Keep your voice low and not like high pitched or whatever. But man, it was very physically demanding. I mean, I was so sore afterwards. I've never been that sore. Like, my muscles in my life, they say you're gonna be sore. I didn't realize how sore like everywhere I would be. So I will use everything around me to push. I would push my legs against the bed and then just like grab onto my husband for dear life. And in the bathroom too. That is how I gave birth. I had my feet pressed against the tub. Literally, I was holding on to the toilet seat. That was just how it was. And just like using that for leverage. And every time I pushed, my midwife said that I made some progress. It didn't feel like I was making a lot of progress. There were a couple moments where I thought, maybe she's not telling me that things are just not progressing. Because she really was having to coach me in the beginning because I was having a hard time pushing in the best way. But it got better and better, and we started having more and more progress. But it took a little bit of time to push, nothing crazy. But so my water broke at 5:30. Contractions started soon after. The midwife got there at 10:30 a.m. That's when she checked me, and I was at a 9 centimeters dilated. And my husband was so great supporting me through all of it. He was just right there with me, cheering me on, encouraging me. So when I found out I was dilated at a 9, we called my mom and had her come too. It's so funny. My mom, like I said earlier, they were all like, my mom never went to term. And so she was always checking, like, are you in labor? Tell me as soon as you have any signs. And I kind of knew, like I talked about with my midwife, I wouldn't let her know or anybody know until I was further along in labor, because I know things can take a long time sometime, and I really wanted to be focused on that and not distracted by people until it was really a good time for them to be there. So my mom didn't have to be there for days and days, and so that all the family and everyone wouldn't be stressing out. So my mom, she's on the phone with the midwife. She's like, why didn't Mandy tell me she's in labor? And she just like runs out of the house, leaves food in the oven, and just speeds off. Didn't tell my dad. And so my dad just sees my mom speeding off, and he just thought, I think something's happening with the baby. I think it's time. So my mom was there. That was great to have her there. Really special. Pushing was intense. It was not as intense as transition. It was like hard physically, but the pain for me was not that bad. It was kind of like stretching, kind of like sometimes just kind of hard to breathe, and you just feel your body like birthing a baby. It wasn't that painful for me at that point. It was like, people say, don't call it pain, call it pressure, call it intense. And that it really was that for me. I knew we were getting much closer when we were in the bathroom, when I was holding on to the toilet seat. There was a point where I got to feel the baby's head. My midwife wrote some things down. Apparently I said things like, excited to meet my baby. Let me pull up and see some of the fun things that we said. Yeah, I used the squatty potty sometime when I was pushing on the toilet. At one point, my midwife asked me if I'm okay. I said, I think so. Oh, I remember there was one point I was in the tub. She said I had this like look on my face. I was thinking to myself, yeah, it is intense, but this is really doable. I get why so many women have done this. It, especially, you know, just having a medication-free birth, people can make it seem really scary, really intense, really like, who would want to do that? And obviously, before there was epidurals and Pitocin and all of those things, this is how so many women have given birth for so long. And I was just thinking like, yeah, it's intense, but it's just for today, and my baby's coming soon, and that's what matters. And this is doable. I just remember like sitting in the tub, having this moment in between contractions, and I was just getting to enjoy the moment. It was kind of cool. My midwife wrote down that we had music playing in the background, that the song I Know That You're For Me by Carrie Job was playing, and I love that song. At one point, James says, I love you, and I said, I love you more, and then I said, I love our baby. I love how she writes these things down for us to remember. So, okay, so I got to see the baby's head in the mirror, and then I said that I felt a little bit of burning. I knew that the ring of fire is a thing when the baby starts to crown, people call it that. And yeah, I wanted to express it because I'm like, is that what's happening? Is the baby crowning? And he was. And the ring of fire for me, it was not crazy intense. Again, the transition part, that was the hardest part. The pushing and the crowning, it did feel good to know that I'm getting close to the end. I'm really getting to like put my effort somewhere that is really making a difference. Vocalizing with pushing, sips of water and rest in between. Yeah, I was drinking water. I think they gave me some juice for some energy. At one point they gave me some oxygen. My husband said that I seemed really kind of out of it. I looked like I was gonna pass out at one point. That was before we were pushing in the bathroom. I think that kind of really helped me push through. I don't remember feeling like I was gonna pass out. I just remember it being tiring. But I think that's maybe when my husband was most nervous, was wondering, could something be going wrong? Our doula, who was there, actually had to leave the birth pretty quickly to go to another birth. So I think that's probably where, if there was a point my husband was really nervous, it was like, is everything okay? And thankfully it was, but it, you know, you just wonder like, is there something they're not telling us? Okay, so the grand finale, pushing my sweet baby boy out. It's crazy. It's the most amazing feeling, experience. I didn't cry. I'm a very emotional person, but I was just laughing / kind of crying. It was really just this like total bewilderment of, I can't believe this just happened. I can't believe I did this. I can't believe this is a human baby, my baby that I just birthed, and here he is in my arms. And it's crazy just how natural it felt pulling him into my arms. I don't even have really words to describe how perfect it is, and it was. It is definitely worth the craziness of pregnancy and giving birth. I'll tell you that, that's for sure. So sweet baby Jace came out, and my husband said, "You are more impressive than I imagined." Then he said to Jace, "Welcome, welcome." He said, "You did a great job, my man." And then he said, "I'm so proud of you, woman." He calls me woman sometimes. I originally think it was ironically, and it still is ironically, but sometimes I just wonder what people think whenever he says it in front of other people. But it was very sweet. Sometimes instead of woman, we say whammin. He calls me whammin sometimes. I always say whammin when I talk about woman. Yeah, so I guess that's the bulk of the birth story. Just kind of wrapping up, you know, after that I got to spend time with the baby. He spent time chest to chest with my husband. I birthed a placenta. That is a very, very crazy feeling. I have no words for that. It's just like, it's like birthing a jellyfish. I don't know. That's what it felt like to me. And, you know, we got to measure him and just enjoy him, and it was so great just being home. You know, my midwife does like the testing that she needs to do, and yeah, just being there with my baby, so stinking special. So, big overview. Water broke at 5:30. He was born at 1:17. And that was that. I was so thankful because it was the birth that I prayed for. And just the fact that I got to give birth at home was my biggest hope. Obviously, with my health issues, there were people who, there were definitely people who thought I was a little crazy. I know there are some people who were concerned for me that I was making that decision in faith. I was talking to a dermatologist when I was getting a mole removed, and I remember when I told her about my health issues, she just said, oh yeah, so you're having a C-section. And I said, no, I'm actually hoping to have a home birth. You know, I knew that things could change, of course. And she's like, wow, you are really brave. I knew it was bold for me. So I was really thankful that I got to have that. And I know a lot of people don't get to have the birth that they're hoping for, planning for. And like I said, the goal at the end of the day is to have a healthy baby. And, you know, if I had to go to the hospital, that would have been totally fine. And I almost did. There were some things, like with my hemoglobin was low at one point during pregnancy, and if it was low to a certain point, I wouldn't have been able to give birth at home due to, I think, my midwife's regulations. It may have been an actual statewide thing, I don't remember. Another fun thing is my platelets actually dropped really low, which I know is common for my mom. She said with all of her births, she's had 6 kids, so lots of experience. But hers would usually drop low, and mine actually dropped so low that I would have not been able to even get the epidural. I would have had to do general anesthesia. It worked out. I probably would have been epidural free no matter what, so I'm really glad that I was mentally, physically, emotionally preparing for that. And I didn't know that my platelets dropped that low because I was doing things to try to build my platelets. I was trying a lot of different things. I didn't know that until after giving birth. When I knew my platelets were low at that point, you know, there was a concern that maybe I would have to change my birth plans. I feel so fortunate to get to have a positive birth story and get to share it to you. I just, the fact that with my health issues I was able to do that, I just really believe that so many women, I think all women are capable of it, but obviously because of the context of different circumstances, they may not be able to for certain reasons. But if you're thinking about having a natural birth, doing a home birth or in a birthing center, or even like a low intervention birth in a hospital, know that I believe in you, and I really think you could do it. I mean, I did it with my very non-active, chronic fatigued body that yeah, I've had a lot of issues, and it was doable for me. Obviously that might not happen for everyone, but maybe you're thinking about it but you have fear. I would just say, you know, it's so much better to operate out of empowerment, knowing the risk, knowing the benefits, knowing the possibilities, and you know, maybe you will get to have a really great birth. The birth, it was intense. Next time I'm excited that the pushing part will probably be a lot shorter, but I'm really thankful. So I guess I will end the video here. It's fun to make a YouTube video again. Obviously it's been a while. I would love to make more YouTube videos in the future. I can't promise when that's going to happen. I'm really not sure because I've got a lot going on in my life and a lot I would love to share with you. But if you're interested, I share a lot on Instagram. So that's a good place. If you're not following me, you can follow along. I would like to do a health update one of these days. So just so you know, I'm doing really pretty well. I'm feeling the best that I have since I got sick, mentally, emotionally, physically, and I'm just continuing to get better. I feel great about my plan right now and all the things that I'm doing. I'm just really thankful. God's really good. So okay, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Bye.